And joining us right now, the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line from PhillyVoice.com, Phillies writer extraordinaire, Evan Macy rejoins the program. What's up, Evan? How you doing, man?
Good, man. My daughter's first birthday was this weekend, so luckily I was able to be a little bit less checked in with the Phillies, enjoy her eating a cake, and then having to go immediately into the bath. It was fantastic. It was a fun time.
Oh, that's fatherhood at its best right there, my friend. That's fatherhood at its best. If you guys aren't following Evan, make sure you do so on Twitter at Evan_Macy. Right there, you can see it. And I'm going to go ahead and assume this tweet was well after your daughter had doused herself in cake. No?
Yeah, what goes up must go down, I guess. I was feeling really, really good. Her party was on Saturday. It was fantastic. First birthdays, I guess, are for the parents. I mean, she had no idea what was going on, but a really nice group of people. Really, really fun afternoon. Got cozy in bed, put the Phillies game on, and yeah, that was devastating. I couldn't. What are the odds of seeing that happen? I don't know. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
For the people on the podcast, I just put up a tweet of Evan saying that's the season, Phillies fans, meaning when Bryce Harper got hit. Do you have an update? Do you know the latest on what's going down with him? Are we really going to be expecting him to be missing the vast majority of the season, or do we still have to wait for him to see that specialist?
I mean, we'll find out something when he's in Philadelphia. The average time of recovery from an injury like this, from what I've seen, and I did a little bit of research, is 10 to 12 weeks. Doing a little bit of math in my head, I think that brings us to around the end of September. I guess, the best case scenario might be that he's able to play a little bit, the last week of the season. And then if they make the playoffs, he's in the playoffs. That would be the best thing that you could hope for. I guess maybe they'll look at that elbow injury too, now that they're, if he ends up getting surgery. I don't know. A lot is up in the air. Bryce Harper is just an incredible athlete who's been already playing injured. And I even, we root for the Phillies. We like to have stuff to talk about in this city, but your heart goes out to him because he just has battled so much and he doesn't really deserve to have this setback. So it's really tough.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably the most Philly quote ever to say, I'd rather have gotten hit in the face than the thumb. And I love the fact that he said that after the game. But in his absence, Evan Macy, who's going to be the guy that steps up? Is Real Muto going to get it clicking? He's been hitting well lately. Had the day off. Stubbs got the start. Nick Castellanos had 6 hits in this series. Still hasn't hit a home run in the month of June. Who's the guy that's going to step up for this baseball team while Bryce Harper's out?
I have to tell you, the Phillies really, like that Godfather quote, once I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Before the Girardi firing, it really seemed like a lost season. And then they fired off all those wins, 9 in a row, and then they won a bunch more. And then, last night after that injury, it really did. I mean, they didn't score at all. It just felt like it's a lost cause. The MVP is hurt. He was everything. He's who they needed to make a push for the playoffs. And then everybody today, they pulled us back in. You want to see Castellanos step up. He did. He had 4 hits. Schwarber has been red hot, at least as red hot as a Schwarber type can be, hitting home runs and walking, which is what you want to see from him. He's been fantastic. Really, they have enough talent to fill in the blanks. Rhys Hoskins, JT Real Muto, as you mentioned, is somebody who really needs to step it up. This would be a good time for that. There's a lot of, household names that could do this. If everybody plays 10% better for the rest of the season, maybe they'll make up the difference. They can do it. I was reminded today, so who knows?
I like that. Yeah, I always like the moments just when you thought it was out, you pulled me back in. I could totally get what you're saying. As far as this bullpen goes for this team, been doing pretty well as of late. A great streak they had going for themselves and all that. Is Sir Anthony Dominguez the closer, or are we still going to be doing the closer by committee type thing? I know you had who'd you have there? You had Bilotti in there in the 9th today in a save situation, or yesterday, I should say. But going forward, do you think Sir Anthony Dominguez is the closest thing they have to a closer on this team?
I absolutely do. I mean, you're hearing the same things Girardi said. I don't know if you saw post game, but Thompson pretty much said the reason that he went with him is because Dominguez and Hand, had pitched a bunch, or they were warming up in the bullpen and he wanted to save them. I guess that's just, going to be par for the course. to see Bilotti succeeding in this situation is a good thing. You want to get some of these inexperienced guys experience pitching in clutch spots. So, that's nice to see him succeed there. The bullpen is really going to have to pull it together. But honestly, it's going to come down to the offense. The starting pitching is good. The bullpen is going to be okay. They're going to have terrible nights. You can't expect them to be the best bullpen in baseball. But, I mean, to me, really for this team, the best defense is a good offense, I guess you can say. And they're going to have to score 4 or 5 runs a game down the stretch to have any chance to make the playoffs. But the bullpen was good today. And I would like to see this team in a spot where they can, at the deadline, actually make a play for a real closer or a back of the end bullpen piece. That would probably be the best thing they could do at the deadline. Get 2 of them, maybe.
Yeah. Anything where I don't have to see Jarius Familia, anything that I don't have to see him, I'm 1,000% for. When it comes to this series coming up now with the Atlanta Braves, as big a measuring stick as one would assume.
They beat the Padres 3 out of 4 on the road in the midst of Bryce Harper's hand being broken. So, I mean, yeah, I want to agree with you. It's in the division. They're chasing the Braves in the wild card. So it's more important that they're chasing them in the wild card than in the division, because the Mets are so far ahead that doesn't really even matter. But yeah, these contending teams, I was really, encouraged by how they played on this road trip, overcoming a lot of adversity and bouncing back and avoiding those losing streaks and finding a way to have someone be a hero who's not Bryce Harper. But they do have a tough stretch. They have the Cardinals after that. The Cardinals are another team they're chasing in the wild card, or they're also in the mix in the NL Central, but either way. And then I guess the Nationals stink, so that's nice to have them afterwards. But the homestand's big. Let's see a winning record on this homestand. They don't have to sweep every game or take 3 out of 4, but go 5-4 here, and maybe we'll be staying above water, and this team will still be floating for a playoff spot.
I don't want to harp on this Nick Castellanos thing too much, but I need to go back to it. 7 home runs so far this year. That's obviously he's projected to do. It's had 15. Projected to hit 15 home runs this season. That's less than half the amount of home runs he hit last year as a member of the Cincinnati Reds. I know he might look like he's finally coming out of it. Like I mentioned, the 6 hits, the 4 hits he had in Sunday's game. Is there anything you're hearing from the ball club about things that he needs to be doing differently, or things that might be in his head, or anything that would at least give us a little bit of a hint as to why his power numbers particularly are struggling so much this year?
Real Muto's power numbers are down too. I don't know what it is. It's really weird. It's tough to have everybody in a lineup all having their maximum amount of power. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's always mental when it comes to baseball. If we've seen you show the ability to do it, then you can physically do it. It doesn't. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not a hitting coach. There's a reason for those things. So I don't particularly see anything with his swing or his approach that's anything different. I think, it's just a natural when you're not hitting home runs, you press, you try new things, you put pressure on yourself. He's in a new environment. Maybe it's tough to see Schwarber hitting bomb after bomb and Bryce Harper playing like an MVP. And, maybe the silver lining is that he gets the opportunity to be kind of that alpha starting outfielder here. He's going to be relied on a little bit more without Harper, and we'll see. But I'm not sure that's really key. If you had to pick one offensive player for whom the Harper injury was the most important for, I might go with Castellanos, just because he's the horse who should be able to fill in the power gap, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember I was doing a guest spot on another show on CBS 3, as a matter of fact, and they had asked me about who's the guy that you need to see something from the second half of the season. Then I said it was Nick Castellanos. Now I scream that it's Nick Castellanos, because you haven't really gotten much from him at this point. And now you look at Schwarber, like you said, he's hitting bombs, hit another one on Sunday that put him in front for good pretty much. And then you see other guys start to really come through in this lineup as well, like Real Muto that you mentioned. Nick Castellanos, if it's a mental thing, then something needs to get right. And hopefully this is him now crawling his way out of that awful slump that he's been in. I will say this, in doing just a little bit of research, one of his best months of the season, maybe his best or second best, was September. So maybe if the Phillies are in it, if they're still doing if they have another slump and then they pull you back in September, maybe he'll be a big reason for that right before you get Bryce Harper back. He had 9 home runs last year in the month of September, so fingers crossed for him later in the season.
isn't it odd how that's like a thing? Schwarber is better in June apparently, and I think there's a stat about Hoskins. Maybe it's I don't know. There's a month where Hoskins is better. It shouldn't. It's weird. It shouldn't make a difference, but it does. Baseball is like just such one of those sports where people just have all of those crazy, the word escapes me, but I'm thinking of the movie Major League where everybody has all these little things they do.
Yes, you got a bucket of chicken and Joe Boo. That's what you got, basically.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is. Everybody's got their month.
When it comes to this baseball team, you mentioned moving on from Girardi and how bad it looked before that. What is the difference in this team since then? Because it looks like a totally different baseball team. Is it all the schedule, or is it some kind of cloud lifted off this clubhouse? What do you think it is?
It's got to be a combination of both. The schedule definitely helped. They definitely were in a really, really rough stretch of schedule. I don't remember what it was. I wrote about it a lot, where they had one of the 4 or 5 toughest schedules in baseball. And then after they fired Girardi, they had like the 29th toughest schedule for the rest of the way. So the timing definitely played a role. But I mean, you heard all the quotes about the young guys. He wasn't really giving them an opportunity. You look at the numbers from the young guys and they're not great. I mean, Stott and Vierling aren't hitting for great average, but you think mentally, like, what are the most memorable hits of the season? And they're from Stott and they're from Vierling, and they're after this managerial change was made. So there's something to them having confidence and having the chance to play. And they're going to be relied on more now because that DH spot is going to open up, and it's actually going to give the Phillies a lot more versatility when they're making their lineup, because they're going to be able to put more defensive players in the field and be able to move, like an Alec Boehm to the DH spot. Maybe you put JT Realmuto there, and that way you can double up at catcher because you have another catcher who's hitting pretty well this season. So it actually, a silver lining is you're going to be able to see a little bit more opportunity for a lot of other guys with the DH spot opening up now.
Right. That Braves team last year, they lost Ronald Acuna Jr., and next thing you know, they win the World Series. So that's what I'm just going to be. I'll be harping on that for the next couple of months. That's what I'll be doing. How about this? Mickey Moniak gets recalled. Are we expecting anything from him down the line here? Vierling obviously had the misplay in center field in this series against the Padres, but he's been hitting better as of late. He's been hitting well overall, Mr. Carshield himself. Odubel Herrera has definitely had his struggles, had a nice bunt single on Sunday. What are we expecting maybe from another corner or even center field spot in Mickey Moniak?
He's going to get an opportunity. He's going to get a chance. I mean, we've seen from Rob Thompson, he's going to let the young guys get a chance. And there's a huge hole in the outfield now, because you're going to have probably one of those outfielders in Schwarber or Castellanos at the DH spot most nights. So you're going to need another defensive guy in the outfield. It's going to have to be one of those guys. Moniak really hasn't shown much since his spring training injury. I don't know how many times I've said, like, it's do or die for Moniak, and then he keeps having another opportunity. But honestly, I don't know how many more he's going to have. He might end up being, in the vein of the last trade deadline, where they ended up trading away Spencer Howard, who was not far behind. He was not long from. I'm misspeaking. He was very close to previously to the trade deadline, their top pitching prospect. There we go. And he was dealt at the deadline, and they brought in Kyle Gibson, who's been okay. He's been an average starter. He's been pretty reliable. I wonder if Moniak, maybe this is an audition for them to use him as a trade piece. Maybe he could benefit from a change of scenery. That's kind of a storyline to have in the back of your head as you're watching this, although it would be nice if he sees the starting role. But maybe they can deal for an outfielder and he can be a centerpiece of that kind of a package to bring somebody in.
I'll keep my fingers crossed. I'll put it this way. I find Mickey Moniak to be an easy guy to root for. I know there's been a lot of struggles there, but I'm really hoping he pulls it out. And I hope that this is the opportunity that he's been waiting for to really get a moment to he can kind of siege right now as a member of this big league ball club. Evan Macy.
Not to interrupt you, but I shouldn't even be mentioning this, but his dad got mad at me for calling him a bust in an article I wrote. He sent me an email. He's kind of polite, but he was like vowing that his son would make me eat my words. I don't know if he does that to all the Phillies writers. There's no way I'm the only person who called him a bust. I'm rooting for him just like everybody else.
Right.
So, I just have to say on the record, and if his dad's watching, like, I hope your son comes through. And if not, like I said, maybe he needs a change of scenery. But yeah, Moniak is going to be an important player down the stretch here either way.
Wow. I grew up when I was a kid with the Lindros era and the whole thing. And then obviously I was a little older for the whole Wilma McNabb, Sam McNabb stuff. Like when parents get involved, bruh, it's a good time. It's a good time. But I hope Mickey Moniak is swinging for the fences, and I hope he does well when he comes up, just as you are. It's like, hey, a lot of times we root to be wrong. To be wrong, right? Absolutely. All right, so steer clear of the next Moniak family reunion. But until then, Evan Macy, PhillyVoice.com, Phillies writer extraordinaire. Make sure you guys are following Evan, of course, on Twitter, as well as other social media outlets. Evan, always great catching up with you, man. Thanks so much.
Yep, sounds great, Mark. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Evan Macy joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, and happy birthday to the little one, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Evan Macy.